Hello again. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is perfectly well aware that many people in Britain are sick of the huge number of supposed asylum seekers and refugees who are entering the country and being put up in hotels at the taxpayers' expense. This is why his government has announced that they will be consulting with local authorities and working out just how many refugees each area can absorb, and then declaring a limit on the number of people who will be able to seek asylum in this country. I give a link in the description to this video to a piece published on the government's website about this very neat little piece of deception. The article to which I give a link was published on Friday, so this is the up-to-date version of what the government is trying to persuade us. It includes a quotation from the Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick. He says, as part of the Illegal Migration Act to stop the boats, we will bring in a cap on our safe and legal routes, informed by the capacity of local authorities. This will ensure that we do not take more refugees than our public services and communities can cope with, and that the refugees we do decide to take can be properly supported and integrated. Now, how cool is that? At last, the government is listening to the concerns of ordinary people and will actually stop the flood of bogus asylum seekers. A cap on the numbers of asylum seekers. Sounds good, eh? To see what is really going on, we need to look at the fine print of this stirring declaration and see what is really being promised. I quote from that same section of the government's own website. The Illegal Migration Act 2023 includes provisions for a cap on the maximum number of people to come to the UK each year via safe and legal routes. While the government's consultation is open to local authorities, non-governmental organisations and charities who provide accommodation and support are encouraged to work with councils to help provide a clear picture of capacity in local areas. The cap does not include the Ukraine visa schemes, the Afghan relocation and assistance policy, the Hong Kong British National Overseas Route, or the mandate scheme. The Hong Kong British National Overseas Route refers to the fact that less than 3 years ago, the British government launched the Hong Kong UK Welcome Programme. This was, and I quote, an immigration route opened on 31st of January 2021, providing British national overseas status holders from Hong Kong and their eligible dependents with the opportunity to come to the UK to live, study and work on a pathway to citizenship. Interesting. How many people hold that status and are eligible to participate in this Hong Kong Welcome Programme? Well, that would be 3 million people. Yeah, 3 million Chinese people in Hong Kong are all eligible to come here to live, study and work on the pathway to citizenship. The government simply invited 3 million Chinese people to come and live in Britain permanently. This programme is not affected by the cap announced by the government. Then there is the Afghan relocation and assistance policy, which is essentially an open-ended deal whereby we will take in as many people from Afghanistan as the government sees fit to invite here. Pakistan is expelling hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants from Afghanistan at the end of this month, and we've already said that we're going to fly 3,000 to Britain as soon as possible. Who else is not affected by this widely publicised cap on refugees? I'm guessing that most ordinary people have never even heard of the mandate scheme until I just mentioned it earlier. Let me quote from the government website, to which I also give a link. The mandate scheme, launched in 1995, is a global scheme that resettles refugees who have a close family member in the UK who is willing to accommodate them. In other words, if somebody living in London, perhaps a Somali refugee who has acquired British citizenship, say, announces that he will accommodate his brother who is fleeing civil war, then in that fellow comes. Any other categories of refugees and asylum seekers who will not be affected by the refugee cap? Oh yes, that would be the illegal immigrants who enter this country across the channel in small boats. The cap does not apply to them. By all of which it will, I hope, be seen that this much vaunted refugee cap, which has been appearing in newspapers lately, will in reality make no difference whatsoever to the number of refugees and asylum seekers entering this country. The categories which make up 99% of such refugees are all specifically excluded from the scheme. This is just a desperate attempt by the government to trick people into thinking that they are doing something about a situation which is very worrying to many people in Britain. In fact, nothing at all will be done, and I invite viewers to check for themselves what I've been saying here this morning by either clicking on the links or doing their own research on the subject.